All right, guys, so we are going to continue on with what we can in CPR and first aid. So our first lecture we're going to have today is poisoning. And so this is probably one of the biggest concerns that you guys should have as pet owners, especially when it comes to pets in your own home. Animals are curious, especially puppies. They like to get into things. Sometimes things that we would think would taste terrible, they like to get into and they think it tastes really good. I had a friend who had labs eat an entire bag of fertilizer. I can't believe that dogs would think fertilizer tastes good, but they did. They ate an entire 50-pound bag of fertilizer, so that was entertaining. I spent a lot of time on the phone with her and got her to the veterinarian very quickly, and both dogs ended up being okay. But just things like that are very random that you would think that pets would not want to get into, they have a tendency sometimes to eat. So anytime you think that your dog or cat might have gotten into something they shouldn't have, or even livestock, you want to look for some evidence. So you want to start looking around. What could they have gotten into? What could it have been? Look around in your garage, in rooms in your houses, in places your pet likes to lay or sleep. The first place I would go look at is my dog's crates, because they have a tendency to take things that they shouldn't be eating into their crates, like loaves of bread, Axel. So look in areas where you might find things. Look for wrappers on the ground. Look for bottles, if there's chewed up wrappers or chewed up medicine bottles. If you have Antifreeze out in a shop, those kind of things. You want to look around and see what's available to your pet. See what they can get into. Look for disturbed areas. Consider if your lawn has recently had an application. So if you've recently had it fertilized or had permagreen put on it or something like that. If they sprayed your yard. Those are all things that could affect your pet. Now, obviously, you can call poison control and ask them for information of what you should do, but then you also want to contact your veterinarian and get some information for them. Now, when you're calling, the first thing you want to have is you want to make sure that you tell them what product you think your pet might have ingested, how much you think might have been ingested, any symptoms you're seeing, so vomiting, diarrhea, tremors, acting weird, anything, whatever it is. And then if there's any active ingredients on the container. So for instance, if your lawn was sprayed, you might need to contact the person that sprayed it, ask them for what the product was, and be able to get on the internet and research it and find the ingredients so that way your vet knows how to treat it. So we want to be able to induce vomiting if possible, except there's obviously exceptions. We don't always want to induce vomiting. Obviously, if the animal's unconscious, semi-unconscious, or convulsing, we obviously do not want them to vomit because they won't be able to control the not swallowing. So make sure that if your pet is at that level, you should be on your way to the vet and not worrying about vomiting. However, if you think that the poison might have been a strong acid, if they drank bleach, petroleum product, cleaning products, or if the substance was ingested over 3 hours ago, those are all reasons that we would not induce vomiting. For these first ones, them vomiting the product up that regurgitation could burn their esophagus or cause damage to the mouth. So in that case, we would have a different approach there. If the substance was ingested over 3 hours ago, a lot of times inducing vomiting, the substance is already passed out of the stomach and it's in the intestines. And so therefore, we are not going to actually produce anything out. There are certain occasions that we'll still try, but most of the time after 3 hours, it's too late and the substance is passed into the intestines, and vomiting is not going to produce anything. Obviously, anytime you have poison, you want to seek immediate veterinary attention. You don't want to wait. This isn't something to kind of like, oh, I guess we'll see what happens. Even if you're not 100% sure, it's still a good idea to take them to the vet because certain substances can be very dangerous to your pet's life. So if you're able to induce vomiting, you can give 3% hydrogen peroxide. So that's your normal over-the-counter hydrogen peroxide you can buy at the store. And the dose for that is 1 tablespoon per 15 pounds or 1 teaspoon for 5 pounds. Now, obviously, if you have a really big dog, if you're trying to give them tablespoon after tablespoon, it can be a really big pain in the butt. The easiest thing to do is if you have a syringe, you can figure out how many tablespoons are in an ml or something along those lines, and put it into a syringe and then give it to them that way. Or even if you can figure out, like, if you know how many tablespoons are in a cup, you can put it into a measuring cup and then possibly use some type of a longer hose to try to get it to the back of their mouth so they'll swallow as much as you need them to, versus trying to struggle and get 1 tablespoon in at a time. If they have not vomited within 5 minutes of giving that initial dose of hydrogen peroxide, it is okay to go ahead and repeat that. After giving it twice, you should consult your veterinarian to see if you should give it again or to find out if they want you to try something else. You can also give syrup of Ipecac. That is often a lot of times found in over-the-counter like first aid kits, but you can also buy it at a pharmacy. And you would just follow the label instructions for humans and just give that to your dog. Now, if it's possible, you want to try to have them vomit where you can see, especially if you think they got into something specific. So like in this case here, this dog got into rat poison, you can tell by the green. And so if you can get them to vomit into a large pan or into a blanket or something like that that you can scoop up and kind of sort through, if you're looking for a certain thing, if you're looking for chocolate, if you're looking for like Tylenol or some type of pill they consumed, you can look and see if you can find it. So you don't want to just let them out in the backyard and let them puke and then have to go out and look for it. You actually want to stay with them and watch them vomit. If their pet has eaten something that is dangerous, you do not want to wait for them to start vomiting to take them to the vet. Go ahead, take containers and towels and newspapers with you, throw them in the back of the car, have somebody sit in the back and hold the bucket for them, just like a little kid, and get them to the vet immediately, because the longer you wait, the worse off it's going to get. Now, I'm not going to watch these videos with you guys. I've checked all the links. The YouTube videos should work, but I do want you guys to observe these videos, and there are questions in your guided notes that are attached to this lesson that you'll need to watch these videos to answer. So, plants are also poisonous. Plants are poisonous to humans and they're poisonous to pets, and especially cats. Cats love to chew on plants, and there are different plants out there that are very poisonous to cats, and there are plants out there that are poisonous to cattle and horses. So if you have a farm, it's very important to know these things and what plants to look for, especially things that might be growing in your pasture. Now, most of the time, animals are pretty good at avoiding what's poisonous to them, and it's usually because it doesn't taste very good. But if for some reason they get into it, it's good to know what to look for in your pasture. So you can contract poison control or your veterinarian for information and confirmation that that's what they ate, and then they can let you know from their treatment options. So this video is about what's poisonous to dogs and cats, and this video is about what's poisonous to livestock. You guys should look at both of those videos. So ethylene glycol, we've talked about this before. This is antifreeze toxicity. So antifreeze does smell sweet, and it has a very sweet taste, so pets actually like the taste of it, so they will drink it off the ground or out of a tub that's sitting in the shop. So it's very important not to have this around if you have dogs loose, because even a very small amount, like a couple of licks, can cause nervous system and kidney damage. And it happens very quickly, and it is very sad when it does happen. They'll be staggering, they're lethargic, they drink and drink and drink water, and then eventually they do start having seizures, and there's a video of that here. And then to treat them, I've talked about this before, treatment is alcohol. So we actually pour like Everclear we put a certain amount of Everclear into like a saline bag and give that to them IV. And it works because alcohol attaches to the same receptors that the ethylene glycol does, and it actually blocks them from coming in and absorbing any more. They will definitely need to be hospitalized, and kidney damage is probably already going to happen. We just want to prevent any further kidney damage, and there's a video about that here. Chocolate poisoning is probably something that we see pretty commonly. Dogs love to get on the counters and eat things that they shouldn't. And obviously semi-sweet, dark, bittersweet, and baker's chocolate are the most dangerous. So like your regular, Reese cup isn't probably going to be dangerous if your lab eats a Reese cup, but obviously if your 5-pound Chihuahua eats a Reese cup, it might lead to some concern. The rate of eating it is usually about 100 milligrams of chocolate per kilogram, so it just kind of depends on the size of your dog, and you can use a chocolate calculator found online from a reliable veterinary source to help you decide if you need to be concerned or not. This video here, you guys have questions to answer about chocolate toxicity, so you'll want to watch this video, and she does a really good job explaining it, and you guys can use that to help answer the questions. Signs that we're going to see, first thing that's going to happen is vomiting and diarrhea. That's usually going to be quite quickly. They can get pancreatitis. So that's swelling and inflammation of the pancreas, and there's a whole list of things that come with that. They can have muscle tremors, restlessness, panting, hyperexcitable, and tachycardia. So this is where it becomes dangerous, is when they're with that increased heart rate. Obviously, we don't want them to have any type of episode because of an increased heart rate. So definitely something you want to know when you contact your veterinarian is what type of chocolate they ate, how much you think they ate, and that's going to be something that you'll definitely want to get from the client or when your dog eats it when you call your vet. You can definitely induce vomiting if it's been within, I would say, 1 to 3 hours. You can get them to vomit, get that chocolate out of their system, but even still, you'd want to call your vet. Rat poison is another one that we see kind of commonly. It's unfortunate because they don't necessarily have to directly eat the rat poison. They can actually eat a rat or a mouse that is ingested in the poison, and it's like a secondary problem for them. Some can cause severe bleeding, while others cause severe neurological damage. There are certain types of rat poison that we have no antidote for, and your pet is going to die, unfortunately. It can take somewhere from 3 to 5 days to notice the signs, so it can be much, much later until we figure it out. But it's very, very, very important to know what type your pet has ingested, because that's going to tell us what treatment we are going to need. If you see it immediately, so my dog Carmen at one point, I was deer hunting, and she brought the box of rat poison to my mom. Thank God she was annoying like that. She would bring you her bowl if it was empty or something like that and she was hungry. She brought the box of rat poison to my mom, and my mom freaked out and was like, oh my God, she ate rat poison, called me like 4 times. I had to get out of the tree stand, go to the house, induce vomiting. She did indeed eat rat poison, and it was very scary for me because in actuality, she had a bleeding disorder called von Willebrand's disease. So she already did not clot her blood very well, and then she ate warfarin rat poison, and so it was a very scary thing. We got her on vitamin K. She ended up being fine, but that I would have been very worried if I didn't see that right away. Lucky for me, she took that box straight to my mom and wanted more. So you guys can use, you guys have a project you guys are going to work on that talks about finding the following info, and this website right here is what you'll go to find the ingredients for the top 4. Make sure that you tell me signs, active ingredient. This is very important for your veterinarian. How it works, the antidote, and also what threat it causes to your pet. The last thing we're going to talk about is xylitol poisoning. Xylitol is sugar-free sweetener that's found in many human products, including chewing gum, pudding, baked goods, a lot of stuff that's sugar-free. They sweeten with xylitol, so you want to be very careful about sharing sugar-free treats with your pets. It causes hypoglycemia and liver damage, and it doesn't take very much, and it doesn't take very long. So there's lots of products out there. You guys have a little project that I want you guys to explore what kind of products have xylitol in them, maybe things that you might actually feed your pet or give them a piece of. If they do indeed eat xylitol, a lot of times it's a pack of gum they found in your purse or in your car or something like that. You want to induce vomiting and call your vet immediately. Again, make sure you guys watch these videos and answer the questions that go with them. Over-the-counter flea and tick meds. Unfortunately, this is most commonly seen in cats. People buy over-the-counter flea and tick meds for dogs and put them on their cat thinking it's not that big of a deal, and it is, because they contain peroxide, and those are very dangerous to cats. Cats are very sensitive to them. They can cause muscle tremors, drooling, and seizures, and so we never, ever, ever want to apply dog flea treatment to a cat. If that does accidentally happen, make sure you wash your patient in Dawn dish soap multiple times, especially concentrating on the area where you applied the product. Call your veterinarian and let them know what happened, and they can start treatment for it. Please, once again, watch the videos and answer the questions that go along with those. So that's all I have for you today on poisoning. This will be your required assignment for the week. Make sure you work through all of the pages that are listed on there and all of the questions that are listed on there. Make sure you watch all of the videos. This assignment plus one other assignment should get us through this week, because we would have spent a couple of at least 2 or 3 days on poisoning. If you guys have questions, concerns, problems, please feel free to email me. You can send me a Google Voice. You can make comments on the bottom of the post if you have a question that maybe the whole class might be interested in, and I will answer you guys on there. Hope that everything's going well and you guys are enjoying your time at home. You'll be probably seeing at least 1 or 2 of these from me a week.